Hello guys, it's Glurmit here, and today I'm going to be showing you 5 characters who I think actually have a very good lead and they don't get used enough. First up we have Darth Maul, and their lead is actually really good. It's not really used in 5s, but it's 100% used in 3v3 consistently and quite a lot. So what does it actually do? Well, Darth Maul's lead is basically giving everyone evasion. It then gives turn meter whenever you evade an attack, and whenever you evade an attack, you are stealthing. This does not apply to tanks who taunt in your team, which is a very nice way of forcing the taunt. So say you go up against a team where you can ignore taunt. This team here with Maul is really hard to deal with because he basically forces you to only hit the tank, which can be very beneficial to you. Also, it's going to give you advantage, it's going to prevent critical hits, and it's just a really good lead. So teams you would normally see this in. Sometimes you would see Darth Maul lead with Bas-Lashan and Revan. That can work. We also sometimes see Darth Maul lead and Dooku in there. That also works as well. And sometimes people go say Darth Maul, Dooku, and then put the last character as Nest. And the reason being, Nest will never stealth, so Nest is essentially a tank in that lineup. I can also see some examples maybe of doing Darth Maul, someone else, and say Sortie. And then Sortie will become the tank in that team. It's a very interesting Zeta and lead, and it's not that bad, guys. If you found Sith Eternal, I would actually recommend you go and you would apply this. Next up, we have Finn lead. Guys, Finn lead is one of my favorite leads in the game. So what is it going to do? Well, firstly, you're going to increase resistance allies potency by 60%. Now, considering resistance is a faction which applies a lot of stuns and debuffs like that, this is not to be underestimated. 60% potency, defense and offense. Guys, it's very powerful. And in the right team, you're going to be stun locking people. It's a very good lead. Now the lead is a Zeta, and what I would say is you don't necessarily need the Zeta for this to work. At level 7, this is still perfectly fine. You still gain the 60% defense, offense and potency. The only difference with taking it to the Zeta is this text here, and it reads, if an enemy is damaged by a resistance ally, for each exposing them, that enemy loses 5% turn meter. For each resistance ally, all resistance allies gain 3% turn meter for each resistance ally, and then their cooldowns are reduced by 1. So this lead is very much working based on exposes. You know, you're reducing their turn meter, you're reducing your cooldowns, but the power is in the level 7, which is when you are gaining many stats. And we've all spoken about it before. Any ability or lead or Zeta or whatever you want to talk about there that gives a stat boost is normally a very good one. Finn lead is very powerful. We've spoken about it in 3v3 with the 2 hero bros. Is very powerful. You can also do some fun stuff with Finn lead Vet Han, Vet Chewie, because you're going to be stunning non-stop. It's quite fun. A very consistent geo counter actually. All you have to do then is bring Poe, the normal Poe, and you have a very good team there. Overall, Finn lead is definitely worth investing in. If you've gone down the route of Rey, 100% you need this character. Or if you've unlocked JTR, you can still make use of his requirements. Next up, we have a very good lead. This one's really underrated, guys. I don't know why people don't use Pogba. I mean, I understand to an extent because most people are using Pogba with GBA. However, there is an argument to be made that Pogba should be a lead in himself. So, what does his lead do? So, Separatist allies are gaining 30% offense, and Droids allies are recovering 10% health whenever they attack at a turn or damage a target locked enemy. For example, you run Pogba with Droids, and you bring B1, B2 and Droideka in the lineup. Now, Droideka is going to be attacking out of turn every single turn because of their Zeta. Now, because of that, Droideka's consistently recovering health because they're attacking out of turn, and In terms of the damage of target locked enemy, well, B2 is going to be getting that, because as soon as B1 applies target lock to people, B2 is going to be AoEing and hitting multiple people. It is really good, and then plus the 30% offense is very nice. It's one of the older leads in the game. It's not very good with Geos. I mean, I sometimes use it for cleanup just for the 30% offense, but for the most part, you're going to be using this with droids. And in 3v3, for example, Pogba B1 B2, Pogba B1 Magna Guard, Pogba B2 Droidica, all of these teams work really, really well. It's a very good lead, and one that if you farm Geos and you farm, say, Separatist droids, this may be a lead that you decide to use. Next up, we have another lead that people overlook, and this is because Crew and SLKR happen to be in faction, and they tend to be the leads people use. However, Huck's lead is actually very, very good. What is it going to be doing? Well, firstly, you're going to be dealing 50% more damage with first order basics. Secondly, if all allies are first order at the start of the battle, excluding summoned allies, General Hux gains dominance. If Hux has dominance, which can't be dispelled or prevented, the only way it goes is at the end of his turn, or if he's critically hit. And the fact that enemies can't counterattack shuts down a lot of counters. Now, I'm not saying that you can't beat this team, obviously you can, but on offense and on defense, this is a very, very strong Zeta. Now, lastly, we have qi'ra lead. Now, qi'ra lead is actually very underrated. It used to be used with Nest, and it still is used a fair bit, but obviously because of Dash, qi'ra is now used elsewhere. But if you don't have Dash, qi'ra lead is very good. And what is it doing? So firstly, you're giving 20% critical chance to your team. Now, whenever they score a critical hit, they recover 10% protection and gain additional bonuses based on a roll for the rest of the battle. So what this means is, say you crit someone, you're recovering protection. Now that's really, really good. Protection recovery is awesome. It's banner recovery in GAC, it's survivability in territory war and territory battles. Now, what are the bonuses we're gaining? So attackers are gaining 10% offense up to 30%. Tanks are gaining 20% critical avoidance up to 60%, and supports or healers are gaining 20 speed up to 60 speed. It's very, very good, guys. A very, very good lead. It's one that I think is extremely underrated. A very, very good lead, to be sure. And you can use it with Nest, you can use it with Scoundrels, you can use it with Smugglers, you can use it with Young Lando. Honestly, it's a very, very good lead. Both 3s and 5s. Because of the protection recovery. That is the big thing here, guys. What do you think of my choice of leads in the game that aren't used as much as they probably should be? Let me know down in the comments. Are there any that I've missed? Thank you all for watching. My name is Glurmit. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope you'll have a glurming day.